Peace, I'm Julian Caldwell, aka J Swiss for BT Social, and I'm here with
Black Milk, and I'm pulling up.
Yes, sir. So you got the brand new album, Fever.
Yes.
Is out right now. MC and producer, one of the illest doing both, out right now.
Yeah, something like that. A little bit. Yeah.
And repping Detroit.
Yep, always.
So it's like, I don't know if you would say on the low, kind of, Detroit is really one of the top cities out there that's really contributed, to hip hop culture over the years. With you and Slum Village and Jay Dilla and Eminem and Days Loaf, the list goes on.
Yeah.
Do you feel like Detroit gets its just due, and does it really matter?
Nah, yeah, I think we get like our respect. You know what I'm saying? Of course, it being a city that's like known for like these artistic expressions and just like music in general. Like I think it's a thing where with the hip hop scene in particular, like it still has a little more ways to grow and break through like all the way. I guess that barrier, but it feels like everyone that's in the know and that's music savvy, they respect what comes out of Detroit, not just in the hip hop scene, but any genre. So yeah, it's cool. I never feel like we're not getting our just due. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
And I've heard, just like I am, you're also a fan of Jay Dilla, Slum Village.
Yeah.
But you have the unique perspective of being able to like work with them.
Yeah.
Versus someone who's just a fan like I am and a lot of people, and someone who's been able to work with like a Jay Dilla. What's something that sticks out to you about him with that personal experience?
Man, I think it's more of a mentality, you know what I'm saying, that I've like got from him or learned from him, you know what I'm saying, and a mentality of I guess creatively always trying to push the envelope, stay progressive, you know what I'm saying, and that was when he was one of the first producers that kind of showed me as a producer like how to think outside of the box musically, creatively, and that was like my biggest takeaway from him as an artist. So yeah, I think that's the main thing.
So I would say with the title Fever, I don't know what it's about, but I would guess that there's some thought into that. So why the title Fever?
Title Fever. It's one of those things where I started the album like a little over a year ago, and I initially went into the album to make something kind of like feel good, more vibrant, more bright, because my last couple albums before was more on a darker tone. So I went into this to like make something more like feel good. But over the last couple years with all of the either social issues, current events, you know what I'm saying, like I couldn't ignore what was going on around me. So I felt like I had to address some of the things that I was seeing and just almost basically just give my perspective on like all of the topic of discussions that's been had, over the last couple of years, whether it's, race stuff, whether it's police brutality, whether it's, sexism, whether it's, anything that's, like I say, been a topic of discussion for the last couple of years, I felt the way, like, I felt like I needed to address it at some point. So Fever kind of came from like a thing where like the temperature is high in the climate that we live in right now. So that's basically all it really meant. And plus I just thought the word fever like looked cool. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I like the letters, so yeah.
As someone who does equally the producing and the MCing, what like really drives the direction of the album? Is it really the music drives where you're gonna go with it, or do you know what you want to say going into an album? Like which does it?
For me personally, production is like first. That's what drives the lyrics, the song topics, concepts, all of that. So yeah, me getting in there, doing what I do as a producer and bringing in musicians to play and add layers to what I'm doing, and that kind of sets the tone of where I want to go, as a songwriter. So yeah, and that's what you hear when you listen to the album. You hear like this album was like probably my most laid back, vibed out, album, and yeah, the music just drove that. I think the times that we're in kind of pushed me into that space musically. So yeah.
Yeah, I would say you hear like a lot more space like in the verses.
Yeah.
On this one.
Now I wanted to make sure. I mean, the reason for that, I wanted to make sure I got my point across. You know what I'm saying? And like the message that I was trying to convey was clear. So a lot of the songwriting was bold and just simplistic but straight to the like in a way where it was still clever and witty, but you can understand what I was trying to, the message I was trying to get across.
I want to get into some of that songwriting specifically the lead single, Laugh Now, Cry Later.
Cry Later, yeah.
And there's like a couple parts I wanted to pull out and have you like elaborate on those lyrics. So one of them is all fun and games, screaming out gang gang to the little homie pull up with a bullet to the brain.
Yeah.
What's behind that? What made you write that line?
I mean, it's just one of those. It's one of those things where like the whole entire song was basically like I treated it like if you was looking at a timeline, your timeline. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And all of the different. I feel like everyone goes through this emotional roller coaster that they're not even aware of when they're like scrolling through.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Social
yeah,
media,
yeah.
because you'll be hot about something one minute. And then you will see like a meme for that same thing you was mad about the next minute, and you be laughing at it. So it's one of those things where every like bar was kind of just a snapshot of like a timeline. So that line in particular was just me seeing, you know, being online and kind of seeing some of the youngins, like, you know, or no, not even some of the youngest, me just seeing people that might not be from these communities where this gang stuff and this like these things are happening, a lot of these issues are happening, but like, you know, I guess I say a line in the song too about appropriating the culture. You know what I'm saying?
I was gonna get into that
so
too,
yeah, that's kind of what that line came from. Like, man, so a lot of people, when you see a lot of people screaming this gang thing, and they're not even from, you know, the communities that most of my people is from. So it's just weird. So it was just like I say, just snapshots of a timeline. So yeah.
You kind of mentioned using a lot of live instrumentation on this
Right.
project. Got the homie Daru Jones, shout out to
Yeah.
Daru on that, and several other people. When did you start doing that in your career?
Man, I've been working with live musicians since like my second album, which came out like in 2008, Tronic, you know. So I've always, once I like incorporated that sound into my music and like realized like it gave the, you know, extra layers, extra dynamics to what I was doing as a producer, and then bringing it to the live show. You know, I've been touring with a live band like for like the last 10 years, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, it just brings an extra layer to my music that I like and I love, and that I can't get just by sampling records and, you know, drum machines. So it's cool to always have like that live musicianship.
Cool. Lastly, you work with a lot of people in and outside of hip hop.
Yeah.
If you could work with, try to think one or two people that you haven't worked with, dead or alive, any genre, who would you want to work with?
Any genre. You know, Prince is like my biggest, like top 3 biggest influence, you know what I'm saying? So, and what I do, and more so just like I say, a mentality of how he approaches art. So Prince is one of those people I wish I could have like had the chance to like at least like have a conversation with, you know. So him, who else? Right now, I don't know, like it'd be too obvious to say Jay. But you know, I'm gonna go a little left field. I'm gonna say Kevin Parker from this group Tame Impala. You know, from the group Tame Impala. Like, I'm really into, you know, his music and the stuff he's been doing. You know, he put out an album a couple years ago called Currents, and that was an album that really like kind of influenced my new album Fever. You know what I'm saying, in a way. So yeah, I'm gonna say my man's Kevin Parker from Tame Impala. So yeah.
This is Black Milk.
Yes.
Like I said, top-notch MC producer out of the D.
Appreciate it.
Julian Caldwell, a.k.a. J Swiss for BT Social. We just pulled up. Peace.